here in the wild, where the heart beats free. We're crafting our dreams, just my family and me. From sunrise to sundown, we're making our way, building our legacy, day by day. Welcome to the Wild Heart Podcast, where passion meets purpose, homeschooling, homesteading, living dreams that serve us.
Hello and welcome to the Wild Heart Podcast. I'm Tony.
I'm Erin.
And this is a podcast where passion meets purpose. I remembered it today because we also sing it.
We don't, but yes.
We sing it ourselves. As we sing along. What are we talking about today?
Lots of things and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about real life science. Our real life science curriculum, from the beach to the yard, or the yard to the beach.
From the Yardy Beach.
The Yardbeach.
I think this kind of stems from this weekend we went out to the cabin and we just kind of, I wouldn't say focused on the homeschooling while we were out in the bush.
There was no focus on homeschooling. It was the opportunistic lessons that just appeared.
Kind of flows into what we've been doing the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We did do a little adventure out to the wilderness. What herbs did we? You have a good list.
Like, are we talking about when we went to the cabin?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, when did we go earlier?
Well, what herbs did you experience, I guess?
What herbs did I experience? Well, I found a lovely patch of red clover, which is really helpful for a lot of feminine issues. So I grabbed that, and then we also, not necessarily an herb, but there were some oxeye daisies. There we go. That we, that we basically picked a whole bunch because it was just so abundant there for whatever reason. And picked those and made those into a nice little daisy crown because we had the summer solstice on the Friday. And one of the ways you can celebrate the solstice is by making flower crowns. So we did that on the Saturday.
And the little guy and me washed the truck.
Yep.
While you guys did that.
Yeah. Other herbs we found. I know.
What was that really rare one?
No, it wasn't. That's not an herb. That we but we saw while we left the area. We saw some of they're lady slippers, and they're called showy lady slippers. They are white and pink, very, like they're protected in Manitoba, so you can't touch them, you can't pick them, you can't do anything with them. You can just admire and take pictures. It takes 16 years for them to grow to their maturity, which was wild to read.
And you were like borderline jumping out of the truck.
Yeah, I was
when we were
gonna
driving.
jump out of the truck on the highway apparently to try and get pictures of them. Yeah, because the ditches were full. Like, I have never seen that many lady slippers in one go. It was wild. And then when we went to the beach on the Monday, I saw them again.
I feel like it is maybe that time of year, or like 16 years ago, somebody went to town.
See, the lady slippers are like a type of orchid, and orchids need very specific soils and like environment and growing conditions to basically grow. So it is very, very interesting that they just happen to be there. Like, and I'm sure, like, I don't know, when we were leaving the cabin, there was, I don't even know how many in the ditches. Like, there was a lot. But at the beach, there was maybe, I don't know, 6 to 10 of them, which was surprising. So
well, it's still
smaller.
one of those, like, I'm curious what the history of like how they got there. I guess, or they just obviously don't randomly pop up, but like who's seeding these? How are they seeding?
Self-seeding,
I
right?
guess.
So almost 30 years ago, there were flowers that popped up and bloomed and then created seeds and then dropped those seeds into the ground, and then the next generation came 16 years after that, and
It's like
now
I was gonna say, isn't there like locusts that come cicadas? Yeah, they like come every X amount of time. I forget it,
I
7
think
years
there's
or
like
something.
7-year ones, and then there's like 50-year. I don't know. There's like 3 different timelines for cicadas, and I think last year was one of the years that like all of them were emerging all at the same time, which is hilarious.
The Egyptian equivalent of the locust,
The Egyptian equivalent? You mean
or
the
one that was told.
the U.S. version of them,
Or
or
was
the
it
North
US?
American?
Okay, either way,
Because it was the locusts that hit Egypt in the
the Bibles.
scripture.
Yes.
That I know so much about.
But what I mean, from my perspective, what we've been doing around the house, just to get back around topic.
We deviated.
I think a lot of like yard work, and I built that fence last week, and I'm prepping to do the roof this upcoming week or so. I think if I could get it done kind of, I don't know if I want to spend Canada Day doing it, but if I could get it done by Canada Day, I'll like have that buffer of Canada Day to kind of do it if I need. But yeah, that'll be a new experience. Just hammering through that literally.
You had you had someone who you're thinking of coming to help too,
Yeah,
right?
if he's available. I
Yeah.
don't want to jack his time, but yeah, obviously.
Cool. I mean, I've been up to lots of things.
What have you been up to? I feel like lots on the homeschooling front has been happening.
Yeah, I've been kind of geeking out on the homeschool planning stuff and really kind of looking at what our next year is going to look at. Actually, speaking of, July 1st is when I can actually submit our form.
Officially.
Yay!
We'll be officially homeschooling according to the government.
Yeah.
We care.
We care. But yeah, so there was that, and I've been really focusing into, focusing on growing my Wild Heart Motherhood and stuff like that. So that's been really big. You should also put all of us on there.
Yep.
But yeah, so been looking at doing that, been posting quite consistently and really solidifying what that looks like. And then, I don't know, I've kind of put the herbalism kind of on the back burner a little bit. Wow, that's too many O's. Motherhood.
I'm updating the description for the YouTube.
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
So, and it's distracting for you, I guess.
Yeah, it is distracting when you're doing things on the computer that I can clearly see. Anyways, yeah, so I've been doing that, and like I said, the herbalism's been kind of on the back burner, but I kind of ebb and flow with that. I can't just be focused on studying. I have to like give myself a little break. So that's been good.
But I feel like you were ahead on that anyway. Like you're getting getting a point where you're getting ahead.
I had like 3 courses done in 1 week. Or like in 2 weeks. So it's, I was a little ahead, and now if I don't start reading again soon, I'm going to be behind. But yeah, the one that I'm working on right now is nutrition. And it's just, not that it's a problem, because it's really fascinating, but it's just like, it's one of those things where I'm like,
you've never strove to
No.
I feel like I drive a lot more towards the nutrition side. Like I'm always experimenting with nutrition and like trying new things. It's not, it doesn't pull you as much as it does me.
Do I need to list all of the things that I've cut out of my diet?
I'm not saying you're not doing it. I'm just saying like I drive more towards it than you do.
You hear about the weirdest next fad diet, and you're like, yeah, let's do that.
I'll try that for 30 days, see how it goes. I did the intermittent day fasting. I think that was a pretty good success.
Yep.
quick summation of it, I lost 10 pounds and I discovered a lot of things about me in terms of, well, I did. Like, it's a mental thing. It's a mental game that you have to play with yourself when you're literally not eating for 24 hours every second day. The I can get cranky, I admit. I could get, but also, like, I learned that what I was capable of, I think it was a good way to describe it.
There were days where you came home and I said, if you're going to act like this, you're not allowed to fast anymore.
I appreciate you putting up with me for 30 days, maybe 40 days, I don't know. I forget how much. I want to say I did it for like 5 weeks.
I don't recall. I don't know when you stopped, so...
Anyway, long story short, let's back to our notes here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know why you keep doing stuff.
Well, because I'm trying to multitask.
Yeah, well, it's not helpful when you're trying to read things.
What's our main topic for today?
I thought we just talked about it.
I know. Well, what's our first topic? Let's go slide right back into it.
Okay, so as we were kind of getting to, I guess the point of it is that we tend to teach science in a very opportunistic way, we'll say. Like, we use a little bit of like pre-made curriculum. Like I said in multiple past episodes, that I try to keep our Manitoba curriculum in my mind, specifically the science clusters, so that I know what areas of science we should focus on, or we should, try to hit in each, I guess, grade level. But that doesn't mean that we can't learn something, right? So, like, for example, grade 1, one of the science clusters is to learn about the body in the context of the 5 senses. So does that mean that, like, because I have an entire, like, I don't know, I don't want to call it curriculum, but I have a book about, like, the body. Does that mean that I'm just going to be like, no, we can only focus on those 5
and we have to read this book from front to back.
Right, and we can only talk about the 5 senses. No. If my daughter wants to learn about, the digestion system, like, we'll learn about that, no problem.
And she's also asking a lot more questions nowadays, too, I've found, like, all over the place, literally. But, a lot of them driven by her curiosity and just always feeding, like, what's the next question? Just keep on offering that info, basically.
Yeah, so, one of the things that I like to believe is that, like, learning happens best when you're living it, or when you're in the moment and you're asking questions, not when it's forced on you. Like, I don't know, for me, for example, when we were in high school and we were reading different books, I hated reading in like, for those specific classes. Like, most of those books, if we were not reading it in class, I would not read the chapters assigned to us. But I was also reading, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 books a month on my own time, right? Like, but I just could not be bothered to read the books that, like, the schools forced us to read.
Yeah.
Awful. Hated it.
I definitely got Sparks notes back in the day to age myself a bit. Like, there was the Spark notes for a few books that I was in theory supposed to read. But I mean, even just going out for a walk, going to the beach, it just gives endless material, questions, discoveries. I even took I think I talked about this, like, I took our daughter out to a temple, and just the questions that flowed after that were just endless. What pre-made kit, what's the course material do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can. The I guess the programming, I don't know. The company that makes them is called How We, with, like, WEE, like tiny.
Little.
How We Learn, or How We Learn. We are also doing the How We Read program through that same, I guess, person. I don't know what you want to call it.
Through the
Company.
same
Creator, yes. Basically I bought the grade 1 package, which comes with a literacy and a mathematic, booklet that covers the curriculum in Ontario, but Ontario is very similar to the Manitoba one. Anyways, it came along with three. Trying to remember now. Came with some pre-made together bundles as well that hit different aspects of science. So with those, we can kind of have an idea of like what to go or where to go. And I've like, what I like to do is I like to take all of my curriculum stuff that I have from wherever it is and plug it into ChatGPT and basically say, hey, the Manitoba curriculum, this is what I have, this is what I have, what would you use this for, or like, what clusters or what subject areas do these hit, and how can they, where are we lacking, kind of thing.
We have a bunch of prompts that we've been
yes.
engineering and kind of working for, like we're both taking AI courses right now to optimize ourselves and being able to integrate with the actual AI a little bit better, being able to use it clearer.
A little bit more effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
On a deeper level, not as much surface.
Exactly. Like, we're not, it's like, write my essay. It's not, once you realize what, I think the biggest issue with people using AI is they're not recognizing what it's not good at, and just kind of using it for whatever they want. But this isn't a podcast about that today. So,
yeah. Anyways,
we talked about the ones that we're using. One of the best things I like about homeschooling is we could pivot at any time, as long as we're hitting the notes. If we're finding something isn't working, it's fine to pivot.
Well, and I even, like, for example, our daughter, we have like a little, we got the summer camp, we're going to call it. It was like a little 6-week tester from How We Learn. And so I got that, and it covers a couple of different subject areas. So butterflies, honeybees, stars and constellations, flowers, frogs, and birds, I think. Anyways, right now our daughter is really excited about the birds that we have in the tree in the backyard, and is really wanting to take care of them. So she wants to feed them, she wants to provide them with houses and all this stuff. So she's really focused on.
We're starting to talk about speaking of houses. We're gonna put this up, which is a little fairy door, and we're gonna have a little feeding area outside of it that I'm 3D printing.
Oh, okay. Cool. Anyways,
that's part of that.
But she's very excited about the birds, and so in terms of the program itself, birds is like week 6, and we're just finishing up butterflies, which is week 1. And our daughter kind of looked at me and was like, oh, but I really want to learn about the birds. And I said, you know what? Why not? Like, we don't have to follow it in order. Like, we can jump to birds if you want to. We went to the library last week too, and she got a whole bunch of books on birds, and one of them is how to feed birds, or like how to feed backyard birds. So we were doing a little bit of reading on that, and we were able to use that book to identify what birds we have in our backyard and in the area, and then look at what types of seeds they would prefer. So our next step's going to be going and getting seed from one of the stores. There's a store, bird seed store somewhere close to us.
I mean, Home Depot has them. Dollarama even has them,
Yes, but we want to be specific about what kind of seeds we're giving them.
You're right.
Right?
Not just a variety pack.
No. So we've learned that black oil sunflowers, sunflower seeds. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but it's like thistle seeds, so it's Nayer. Nyjer, I think. Nayer is how I'd pronounce it. Anyways, so they're thistle seeds. And
say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. And then what else? And millet. Millet? Millet?
No, millet.
Millet?
Millet?
Millet? Millet.
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 If you're French.
I feel like I would add another T and E and then it would be melee because it's like ballet. Anyways. But yes, we've focused on that.
When we went out to the forest at the cabin there, we saw we saw the baby foxes, which was nice. We had a frog that climbed up all over us.
Twice. You gotta send me that video, by the way.
Yeah. But I mean, just to be able to be spontaneous and kind of hold the frog. We talked about the frog. Asking questions like, hey, what does it eat? And she had to think about it. But she got it. And, like, we didn't have too many opportunities for tracks. But, there's...
On the beach we did. We were able to see some...
bird tracks, yeah.
Yeah.
But even just kind of... Obviously, we go on lots of hikes and walks and always keeping an eye out for just any learning opportunity, whether it's herb, plant studies, anything that, buds, blooms, or seeds. Just being able to see what at what point it is in its life cycle, being able to explain, how it actually grows, whether it's plant or animal, right?
Well, and I think too, like, just it's not only are we able to provide lessons on the fly, like, I see this really cool plant. This is what the plant is. This is how it can be helpful if it's an herb. Look at this is the stage of its life that it's in, whether it's like budding or flowering or seed, whatever. But it's also just showing that you can be curious about your environment. And there's an element of being observational, right? Because you're, at least in my experience when I'm doing stuff, I am looking around and I'm like, oh, look, that's cool. Let's look at it. Right?
Sometimes to our detriment.
Yeah. Ooh, look at this. And then, our daughter goes, what? And I'm like, damn it.
When we're supposed to be eating dinner all together at the table.
Yeah. Ooh, there's a siren. I wonder what it is.
All the kids run to the window.
I'm not the kid.
You don't always run to the window. The kids do.
Yes, all two of our children run to the window.
But I think really what it comes down to is wondering is half the fun, and recognizing and like showing it's like, hey, we don't have the answer right now, but how can we learn this? And giving the opportunity for our daughter to ask or answer, like, hey, where do you think we can find this info? And books are often that source, and it could be the internet. And even now I think she's starting to use her art a little bit more directionally. She's today you guys did a little art project. Do you want to talk about that?
So I saw a really cool video on Instagram of someone who was making like those black scratch off papers.
Yeah.
So basically the gist behind it is that you take crayons, you color all over the paper in whatever pattern you want or whatever. You color it all
Think of like a stained glass window.
Yeah. I mean, you could do all one color too if you wanted, but I don't know. So you do that, you make sure that all of the paper is covered, and then you take black paint and you mix it with a little bit of dish soap, and you mix it up, and then you paint it in a very thin layer over top of the crayon. Excuse me. And then once that's dry, you paint another layer on top of it, And then once it's fully dry, you can use like a skewer or like one of those scratch-off
Coin
pieces.
scratch.
And you can scratch images into it. Like, you can buy the stuff off like at Dollarama or like any of the craft stores, right?
But it's a little craft, and I think she was really proud of it.
She was really excited about it. Like, she was like, "Oh, we make this stuff." The only downside is that the freaking dawn was so strong. The smell of it was just like, oh.
You're very sensitive to
Yeah,
the
I've
chemically
noticed
smells.
since we've cut out a lot of the fragrances and perfumes that, like, I get really affected by it now. Anyways.
I've always smelled it. They don't bug me as much because, well, I do service work. So.
No, but the Play-Doh that we have does.
Yeah, that Play-Doh really did bug me. Yeah, from moving on to the water science, I guess. When we went to the beach, it was super windy, so we didn't have the opportunity to like collect water samples and like use the microscope and everything, but we did have it in the back burner. We did a little bit of prep for that. We've used the microscope in the past though, where showing that there's little organisms beyond the the naked eye.
That was one of the first things that we did with the homeschool group, was doing a little bit of a water study with the creek near the park that we go to.
Yeah. Which
was really fun. And it's basically just scoop some water up, put it in the jar, see what you see. It's fun. You can, if your microscope is powerful enough, you can actually get, when you can see the microscopic things really well, you can start looking at like, what is that type of thing. I know I had a printout, and I cannot remember the source, but I had a really good printout that had like pictures of what the microscopic things looked like, a description of what they were, and trying to remember what else it was, and like their scientific name and stuff like that, which was really cool. So they're really good. It was really cool.
The biggest thing is kind of just we're making it our own in a sense, and just being empowered to, whether it's at the park or the beach or just on a walk.
Well, and like one of the things that we actually saw at the beach was our little guy was throwing the driftwood back into the water, and he was watching it kind of come in and out. And of course, our daughter gets really focused and wants to keep the logs and all the things. One of the logs she actually picked up had some of the mussels, those zebra mussels, still stuck.
Invasive zebra mussels.
Yeah, they're an invasive species. So that was a learning lesson. We get to talk about that a little bit, about what an invasive species is and how they kind of get spread. But then we could also talk about how, like, the mussels themselves are attached to the log, and how they get around, what do they eat, that kind of stuff. It was really cool actually seeing them still stuck, because most of the time you get to the beach and all you see is these scatters of shells all over. So it was really cool seeing them attached to a log and being able to be like, oh, do you see this? This is what this is. And then explaining a little bit about it.
And then I think we even talked about boats and why we need to, be aware of it. I was like, you don't need to be a biologist. Literally, you just have to stay curious. Is really all it is, and just make sure your role is to explore with your kids. Let them lead, and just let them guide you what interests them, and use observation, see what they're into, see what they're doing, and just as simple as it is, just watch them. Be there. Don't look at your phone, and just look at them and participate in their life, really. I think that's our biggest push as of late. I feel like we're really focused in on the homeschooling in the last few months, that we've really kind of pinpointed and got into our flow.
Well, yeah, that's kind of it. Like, I've been able to kind of identify, well, because we have to be a little bit more, not specific, but we actually have to fill out paperwork this year So there has to be something that I have to write down for progress reports and things like that. And so, being able to be free flow, but also have an idea of what the guidelines are that we're supposed to be hitting for the grade level is helpful. And I think just one of the things that I really, really enjoy about the way that we do homeschooling is, like you said, I just let whatever curiosity happens, right? Whether it's getting really curious about the birds in the backyard, because then, I can teach about, or not so much teach, but I can learn with, our daughter about what types of birds we have. And then we can talk about their nests. And then that can bring us into, the bird's life cycle. Like, their egg, then their hatchling, then they are fledglings, which are just about to, start to learn how to fly. And then you're an adult bird. And then what do the adult birds do? And, maybe there's a bit of migration into that, right? Like, you can pick a topic and then just explore from that point, right?
You could get into the biology of it. You could get into the,
well, and then
nature of it, of, predatory birds and, so on. There's a lot of offshoots if you look for them.
Well, and not only that, but okay, so you have all that science bit that you can talk about, but you can also add, a little bit of math to it. Like, how many eggs do we have in this nest? How many eggs do we have in this nest? And, you don't have to have nests that you can see, but you can make a little, you make a little basket and you pretend that there's eggs in it, or you get Easter eggs and you put them in the basket, and then you can add another basket. How many eggs are in total?
Throw a math equation
and you
in
can
there.
start adding in math, and then maybe you want to say, hey, if your children are reading and writing at this point, you could say, hey, let's write a short story about eggs or birds or whatever, right? Maybe it's Millie the goldfinch. I don't know.
That's already.
Well, the story in our book about the birds, from How We Learn, is actually Carrie the Cardinal.
Oh, I see.
So I was coming up with a name and it didn't come to my mind. But you can have a story, and then that story too, for us, the story actually talks about different things about the life cycle, and I think talks about flight and the wings and all that stuff. There's so much you can do from that one standpoint that encompasses even just art, right? You can get the kids to play around with maybe drawing feathers, or doing something I don't know, building nests out of sticks themselves, or painting eggs, or whatever, right? There's so many different things that you can do just following the children's interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I would say if you're thinking about homeschooling, or if your kids are kind of kindergarten or starting to get to that point, you don't need to overthink it. Just start asking questions. Go outside and see what your kid's into. What are they doing? Do they want to are they focusing on the little minute ants? Are they looking at the big things, cars driving by? Even if we're not on a homestead yet, but, just going for a walk down the sidewalk.
Playing in the garden if you have one, right?
And if you don't have one, maybe look into starting one. It's not hard. Grab some seeds, throw them in the mud. Literally.
Yes.
You learn from doing it, and you could journal, and you could dive deeper in there. But yeah, if you have any stories that you have, listeners, about anything that you've had successful in your past, let us know.
Yes.
But what is your social media handle? Let's just tie things off.
Well, you can find me specifically at Wild Heart Motherhood.
And I'm Wild Heart Legacy. We do this every 2 weeks, just to kind of connect with you guys. If you enjoy this content, give us a like, follow, all the things that
subscribe.
all those things. Click the buttons and the bells and the whatever else is on whatever podcasts.
We are on podcasting platforms.
We are on podcasting platforms. So follow us there, wherever there is for you.
Wherever you tune into your podcasts, you can find us there.
And if you want to start looking into, if you like DIY stuff, homeschooling stuff, and in the future homestead stuff, give us a follow too, because we're going to be documenting our journey over to a homestead here.
Yes.
And with that, do you remember our tagline?
Our passion meets where passion meets purpose.
Yes, that's.
We are Wild Heart Podcast. Yeah,
it's the Wild Heart Podcast.
Yeah, it's Wild Heart Podcast where passion meets purpose. I felt like there was another.
And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Bye.
Out here in the wild, where the heart beats free, we're crafting our dreams, just my family and me. From sunrise to sundown, we're making our way, building our legacy, day by day. Welcome to the Wild Heart Podcast, where passion meets purpose, homeschooling, homesteading, living dreams that serve us. Together we're stronger, through every stormy weather. The Wild Heart legacy, bound forever. With hands in the soil and love in the air, we're teaching our young ones how to live and care in this simple life where the lessons are real. We're writing our story with every turn of the wheel. So join us on this journey where the wild hearts roll. In the wild